Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc., the channel all about bringing you as much nerdy content as possible. If you notice on the screen, this isn't my account. If you look at that, the name there, Nero Angelo, this is our newest Patreon, if you'll notice on the screen. And they did a account takeover for us, and they wanted me to log in today and take a look at everything. You notice this is definitely not my PvP team, pretty far off from what we normally do. But a lot of potential on this account. It's a little new. I say a little new. It's a year old, but let me switch cams for you there. He's that's a water iris in that top left-hand corner. The account is a year old. He's got some really strong, beefy dragons on this account. A lot of topaz dragons, like several. However, after you get past, like, I don't know, the 8th or 9th dragon on the list, his dragons quickly fall off, and he doesn't have any beyond that are useful in other game modes. So we're gonna hopefully take a look and see what we can change up, especially in his clan dungeon. He said that's his biggest weakness and what he really wants the most help on. And I kind of peeked in there a little bit and took a look at it. Definitely gonna need some work. Needs a lot of overhaul on the dragons he's using. Yes, he has some crazy powerful stuff in here, but none that really, well, some of them do, but not really big clan dungeon dragons. And that's what we're gonna focus on heavily. But we're also gonna take a look at other areas as well, including this PvP team. Alright, so jumping right in here into the box. Let's see what we're looking at here. So right off the bat, Lightning God Dragon. We saw it in the PvP match. Awesome dragon. Great tank. Looks like you got some defense runes on here. Even got the big solidarity one. The new 7-star. That's pretty cool. You've got these counter attack runes on there, which is an interesting choice. Counterattack damage is proportional to your HP and defense. I mean, so that's a pretty cool trick. Right on, no complaints there. Next up, you got 2 irises here. Actually, all 3. Water, earth, and light. I noticed you have light on your PvP team. I think light is the weakest of the 3, just like skill-wise. Like, this is pretty amazing here. Both of the water one's definitely the best one. The light one, it's just that first drag skill here. You don't trigger this that much with the drag skill, and how often you do it is, you know, you're particularly going to be using this dragon in PvP a lot. And 10% off of 1 kill, you might get this to trigger 1 time in a fight, maybe. And I just don't think it's that great. Water, being able to silence, is phenomenal. 2 defense down debuffs is really nice. These just bring a whole lot of more utility, whereas this is just a little bit more damage. But these 2 already hit like an absolute truck, so I think it's just going to be kind of better there. Also, the Earth one removes debuffs, or removes buffs off of targets. So Earth is pretty good for taking out things like zombie state dragons, you know, things that these 2 can't deal with. It's really good for that. Running Earth Iris is almost a way of not having to run certain supports that get rid of debuffs. But next you have Gurner, which is like one of the most powerful single target attackers in the game. 1 cost drag skill is just insane. Target count of 1. Increase your attack, crit rate, and attack speed for 20 seconds. Like, holy crap, that's a lot of buffs. Leadership, attack speed increase, that's pretty great. You could combine this with the water iris and run like a double single target attack team. And he would provide a lot of support for that water iris. Inflict damage to a random enemy, higher, you know, that's okay. Deals with 3 times damage, that's pretty nice. Inflict damage to enemy with the lowest HP. Just another little, like, more damage to put on every 3 seconds is nuts. Like, and it scales off attack speed, so make sure you have, you know, good attack speed. But yeah, every 3 seconds this goes off. Holy crap, that's a lot of damage. And then Strike of Destruction. I mean, when you have a mushroom cloud, like a nuclear strike mushroom cloud, you know it's gonna be crazy. Every set duration, inflict damage to one random enemy and other nearby enemies. Damage is increased proportionally to your attack speed, and damage is multiplied by ×3 to bosses. ×3 to bosses. This dragon is crazy. Top lane, and I want to point this out, top lane clan dungeon. I peeked into your clan dungeon team already. He's on bottom lane. No. You need him on top lane. I'll correct that, but top lane for sure. Single target attacker means top lane. If it's 5 or more targets, bottom lane. So you have Dark Bane here, which is good. You've only got the Earth one that I saw powered up, so really great for bottom lane. I think you have him there already, which is good. But Gurner, and we'll figure out some other companions to go with Gurner. But you could really realistically run Gurner on every element pretty easily, unless you're running, like, I don't know, like Tilkey for everything. You have a Tilkey for every element and a Mummigon for every element. And until you get to that point, I would probably run Gurner on almost every element for now. Another Topaz Dragon here. We got Osti, which is a super new healer. I haven't even covered this just because I don't usually cover Topaz Dragons. Restores targets, or is this might be this might not be that. This could be a limited dragon. Either way though, I don't always touch them just because so few people can get a hold of them. Alright, so we had a HP increase, leadership, nothing too crazy. Restores target HP, increases attack for 20 seconds, so a nice attack buff. Target count of 4, which we're stepping into Monis range here on that heals. Dragon's max HP affects the healing amount, so it scales off of HP, which is great. I love tank healers. Tank healers are my favorite for sure. Every set duration, recover the HP of an ally whose HP is very low. Okay, so we're just triggering that every once in a while. Periodically increase rear allies attack for 10 seconds. Also remove attack reduction effects. I actually forgot that he did that. That's pretty cool. So we're giving attack buffs, which is great. So good supporting dragon. And we have a resurrect. What a great dragon this is. It's a tank. It's got a resurrect. It gives attack buffs. Awesome. Like, there's nothing bad about this dragon. It's literally basically just another Monis, essentially, except that it's a water element. You got the water and what was it, earth? Yeah, water and earth, which is great because these elements definitely needed these dragons. For anyone else watching, great additions to the game. Also, you have a Verna, which is pretty awesome. Again, scaling a heal skill, target count of 4, based off of defense this time. Allies' defenses increased by 48% in Colosseum. Usually in Colosseum, unless you're building an actual tank-specific team where you're just all about staying alive and staying at full health the whole fight, something like this isn't really used in a normal composition where, you know, you've got tank, healer, support, 2 DPS. Not so great, but with your current setup you don't really have anyone else that can work it. So next up, so every set duration restores HP, increases defense, and we got a resurrect here. Only 30% health, but invulnerable for 5 seconds, which is super cool. And then we got this here. After you do the healing skill, create a barrier equal to 300% of defense for one ally with low HP. So that's kind of a shame. It only applies to one ally. At least it's the lowest health. It does have target priority. The only problem with the barrier effects is they start to overlap each other, especially running on the same team as Lightning God Dragon. So Lightning God Dragon's always putting up these barriers, and then you try to put more barriers up with Verna, and they don't go on because they've already got a barrier on them. Just the barriers kind of conflict sometimes if you have too many on one team. but it only applies to one, and it's always the lowest health one, so at least that's good. That target priority is really nice. Dark Bane, already covered that. Great for Clan Dungeon. Next, we got another limited dragon here. We got the Dark Pony, which is a phenomenal dragon. Like, this is one of the best supports in the game. Leadership isn't anything too crazy, just a more HP buff. Inflict damage, 80% chance to decrease the critical rate and critical damage. So great debuffs for DPSs. Also has a 100% chance to silence targets that have below 50% of their HP for 5 seconds. That's great. Any kind of silence you can get on a team is always appreciated, and having it on the drag skill so you can target it is very important, especially when you get to also put defense or debuffs on them, like crit rate and crit damage down. Next up, attack the enemy with the lowest HP and remove beneficial effects from the target. So if you run this, you don't need to run like the Earth Iris that I pointed out earlier, because this is going to handle those zombie states, and anything else, any other kind of buffs is always nice. Every 12 seconds, reduced by 4 seconds, so every 8 seconds, target count of 2, that's pretty good, removing beneficial effects. All beneficial effects, and I should point that out, all beneficial effects is super rare. Usually it's just remove one beneficial effect, and you don't know which beneficial effect it's going to remove. If they have, lots of buffs on them, it might not hit the zombie state, or it might not hit whatever it is. So being able to remove all of them is just so great. And then every set duration, grant immune effect to allies with very low HP. 3 of them every 15 seconds. Also gain 1 mana, so you have a nice mana regen here. And it looks like you've already got the meditation runes on her, so that is great. Dark Pony, love this dragon. I think it's definitely one of probably the best supports in the game. Probably going to keep this definitely on the PvP team. Next up, we got a light smart dragon. Awesome healer. You also have the water pony, which is pretty nuts, but you already have the dark, so having the water is almost like a waste. Dark Totem Dragon, I mean, wow. You already have the Verna, so the benefit of the Dark Totem, though, is that it gives out a lot of attack buffs. So increase allies' attack, all of them, all 5 on your team, has the Resurrect, it heals, removes harmful effects, which is a little bit different, recovers target's HP, and increases attack, so that's 2 attack buffs. It's just a little bit different. Also, this evasion up is a really rare leadership ability. Definitely don't get rid of this dragon. You might not always use the Dark Totem because you have other better healers. But if you ever need an evasion up, this is going to be your dragon to go to for that leadership. Alright, and you've got the survival runes on it, which is good because it scales off of attack. It is attack, right? Yeah. So he's really squishy healer. Trophius, which you haven't really done anything with, and if you notice, after we get past this first bit here, like these first group of dragons from the front, all pretty powered up, lots of 610s, and then they just kind of fall off. Like some of these don't have any masteries on them, and then after that, no masteries, no enhancements, and that's kind of not good. Also, I haven't seen any 4-star dragons or 3-star dragons in here yet that have been powered up, which tells me that your clan dungeon is suffering, as well as your ancient tower is suffering. And getting high ancient tower is pretty important as well. Lots of limited dragons here. We got, Magnus, Varus. Unfortunately, dragons that have just fallen off. I don't think you need the survival runes on Varus, because he's got that heal skill that keeps him alive pretty well. I've never had an issue, at least with my Varus dying at all. He's pretty phenomenal, so I don't think the survival runes is quite necessary. Dragon Slayer, pretty awesome dragon, except for the Dragon Slayers do crazy damage. I'm not sure if there's a dragon in this game that does more damage than a Dragon Slayer, just because of all their abilities. They just go crazy on damage. However, they bring nothing else to the table. No cool like buff removal or anything like that. They don't have any kind of utility at all. And right now in Dragon Village M, utility is super important to have, especially on any dragon. Which is why I switched to the Light Spirit recently as my focus, because it has a silence on it. And Dragon Slayer just doesn't do it. Especially the Dark one. The Dark one, like the skills on it are just incredible, but it doesn't do anything else. Earth Frost Dragon, this is a terrible dragon. I don't bother sinking anything into this. It's a tank. It sits there and takes a lot of damage on the front line and does nothing else. It doesn't protect your other allies. It doesn't do anything other than just sit there and just get hit. No, what a waste. Barlog here, or the Balrog for all you Lord of the Rings fans. I was just never really impressed with this one that much. You got other tanks that are better, so I wouldn't worry about it. Urien here. Urien is a great support, particularly for Clan Dungeon, because it has the cooldown reduction. So every set duration decrease cooldown of allies drag skills whose mana cost is 2 by 15%, which is great. It also has a mana gain 2 mana once you get it powered up. Every 16 seconds you gain 2 mana, and remove debuff, which is pretty cool, as well as the drag skill. It gives attack buffs when you pop the drag skill. So this on Clan Dungeon is really nice. I love this guy in Clan Dungeon. Survival runes on a already super tanky dragon feels unnecessary to me. I mean, you could put more defense runes or an HP set or something like that. Survival runes are typically good for dragons that are really squishy and die easily. So unless you're just putting it right there on bottom lane getting hit the most, I don't see survival runes doing much on this dragon. It just won't trigger that much to warrant running them, I don't think. Ordo, definitely not a fan of Ordo. If you've seen my review of Ordo, the light one kind of has its usefulness, but I think the fire one is pretty garbage. Light Xenos, great light healer. Just kind of keep barreling through these. Light Bagma is an interesting one. It's hard to get light types for sure, but where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, it only affects 3 mana cost attackers, which just aren't really that useful in this game. Decrease the cooldown, so you're going to affect probably 1 single dragon on your team. Out of 5 dragons, you're only going to help 1 of them. Doesn't really seem like a good idea to me. I would rather run like a Fire Bagma or something that affects 2 mana costers over this one here. I've been sitting on my Light Bagma just because it feels bad to like eat it. I think I did use it for mastery fodder finally for my Light Spirit. It's just anything like this that affects 3 mana cost attackers just pulls away from the whole rest of your team. So it's why I often preach don't use 3 mana cost attackers, use 2 mana cost, because you can run supports that affect the whole team together and not just 1 single dragon. Frosty is pretty good, just mainly because of that last one here. Damage caused by all attacks from attack type allies is increased by 15%. That's just super cool, just a nice big blanket effect, as well as it's got a mana regeneration ability on it, and then grant a 2 attack increasing effects to allies with the highest attack. He's just a cool support. I don't mind running him in things like Clan Dungeon. Not necessarily anything I would run in PvP probably, especially because, like I said, you have the Dark Pony, which will be your support. So, but maybe in like Clan Dungeon would be a good spot for him. The Water Eternal, I just haven't really found a spot for him yet. And then we really start getting off into like no man's land here of dragons that you haven't touched. You have Earth Mellow. Earth Mellow is phenomenal for the weeks when you're in Water Clan Dungeon. Definitely need to power this guy up soon. I've got mine recently powered up. I don't even have any enhancements or masteries on him, and he's still super good. So a set of meditation runes with like attack and crit rate focused are really good, and then you want to put him in the bottom right corner of bottom lane. So, and then you're going to run him with your Dark Bane, your Earth Dark Bane. And I don't really see any other attackers here that we can use just yet. But if you have a Earth Hedgebat and then Dark Bane together with Earth Mellow, super good for bottom lane clan dungeon. Fire Agaris, just not really useful anymore. At one time, he was like super meta, but not anymore. Loris Dragon, I would fodder Loris Dragon. Unfortunately, again, the same issue with that Light Bagma is its skills are only useful for 3 mana cost attackers. I tried running a 2 DPS Dragon 3 mana cost attackers in PvP for a time with this, and it just was not effective. It didn't trigger the mana regeneration enough. It ended up being a bad combo and a waste of time. So I would definitely get rid of that. Hellkaiser, not a fan of Earth Hellkaiser. Water Spirit, just not as good as Light, and that's pretty much it. Water Dragon Slayer, again, lots of damage, does nothing else. Water Solar, the same situation. Evil Dragon, just 3 mana cost attacker. There's just better 3 mana cost attackers these days. He was good when he first came out, but quickly got replaced. Fire Party Dragon's a pretty good dragon. I know a lot of people that just rave about these things. I know it's a support type, but it does a lot of damage. 100% chance to decrease the recovery rate, which is pretty good. Target count of 3. All allies become invulnerable for 10 seconds when your HP is below 20%. So he basically stops your team from getting one shot not in Clan Dungeon, but in PvP. So interesting dragon for sure. Increased crit rate, and then time grants barrier to 400% to allies. So 3 allies get a 400% barrier equal to defense for 10 seconds every time you use your drag skill. So Party Dragon's pretty cool. I wouldn't get rid of it, but I don't know if we have a place for it. I think you just have better supports right now than Party Dragon. Metal Magnet Dragon, fodder. Earth Jet Dragon, like I said, worth keeping onto. Oh my goodness. And a Dark Papamo. Holy crap. What a setup of dragons here. Restores its target's HP and immunity for 10 seconds. It's a defense. It scales off of its defense, so it's a tank, which is very important. Every set duration, recover the HP of allies very low by 15%. 2 of them, so just a passive heal. Periodically attacks the enemy in the front with 80% chance of silencing them for 6 seconds. Target count of 2. That's nice. Usually the dragons up front are stuff like Tropheus or Lightning God Dragon, things that take damage in place of others, and being able to silence them for 6 seconds is huge. An 80% chance, that's pretty solid, and this is going to trigger every 10 seconds. So there's going to be 4 seconds where they're not silenced, essentially. This is Dark Papamo is one of the most meta dragons right now in this game. As far as healers is concerned in PvP, is Dark Papamo is like the dragon to have. And it has a Resurrect. So, of course, you need a Resurrect on a healer. If you want to be like really meta, then in PvP, you really should have a dragon that has a Resurrect. And Dark Papamo, definitely one to be looking at. Unfortunately, it looks pretty new. You haven't done anything to it yet. No masteries to look at either for it. That's kind of a shame. Alright, getting into everything else here. Last one is just Earthgale. Some people use Earthgale to a great effect. I don't think you really need it. You have a lot of choices between supports and healers for your PvP teams, which is really nice. But after that, your tanks are okay. Your DPS are alright. As far as selection go, you do have some that are really powerful, but I think there's just kind of better options out there. One thing you can look at if you need dark fodder is fusion. I make the dark nicks all the time. Look, you've already got 3 of the ones you need. You just need to make the Fire Sura, which is another fusion dragon, and I just make my own darks for mastery fodder. So definitely a strategy I would look into if I was you. Fire Gaudium is great for Clan Dungeon for top lane. Why do I say that? The mana recovery rate is pretty cool when you get to trigger it. But every set duration decrease attack of enemies at the rear for 30 seconds. That's just great. And this triggers every 20 seconds. So you'll have moments where you have 2 attack down debuffs because of this ability, and that's really, really important. Inflict damage to enemy. Again, you only have target count of 1 on that top lane, so it'll always target the boss. 80% chance to affect with 2 defense decrease effects, which allow your DPS to do even more damage. And then also 90% chance to delete 2 beneficial effects. So if it has any buffs on it, you get to wipe it out. Just a great support for Clan Dungeon. Definitely something we're going to look at in powering up. It looks like you got a good amount of XP for us to work with, which is definitely going to be needed here. Moving on from there, let's look at what other kind of supports we can pull out. I do run the Mystic Teeny when I don't run the Fire Gaudium. I only run it on weeks when we go against the Water Dungeon. I drop the Fire Gaudium and add in the Earth Mystic Teeny, just because the Fire Gaudium dies so much easier, as well as the Earth type, since it has element advantage, just has all these buffs for the week. So Mystic Teeny is your replacement for Fire Gaudium on the water weeks. Here we go, Hedge Bats. Bottom lane, we're going to be powering these guys up. Several of these Hedge Bats here. You got a Fire type, that's the first one that we're looking at. You got a Dark type, that's good. So we'll power that one up as well. You got some Mummygons, definitely look at that. Volts are super good for Ancient Tower for getting those speed clears. You might be looking at those as well. There's the Earth Hedgebat, Fire Mummy, okay. There's the Earth Volt, which is the other key part. Water Mummy, awesome, good stuff. Glad to see it. Water Hedgebat, looks like you got all the Hedgebats. So those will be a big focus for us for Clan Dungeon. A lot more garbage stuff. This is, yeah, so you can use this to make light types. If you want to make your own light types, you just got to gather these guys up. And for Mastery Fodder, Light Arcana is garbage. So just make her and then feed her to your other light types for Mastery Fodder for 5 stars. Okay, and looks like that's it. Oh, no 3 stars. Okay, so we don't have any spirals to work with. That's a shame. Also, I didn't see any Tilkies in your box of 5 stars, so that tells us that we don't have a lot to work with for top lane Clan Dungeon. However, you have Gurner. So, like I said, you can run Gurner in every single element, and it'll always do just phenomenal damage. Until you can get stuff like Tilki or Mummygons. Well, you have the Mummygons, some of them, but just as your other DPS, because usually you'll run 2 DPS until you hit about stage 40, and then you have to usually drop 1 DPS and then add in something like Lightning God Dragon is what I do, and just for that added buff. So I'm gonna pause the video here. Yeah, this is gonna be a long one, and I'm gonna rework some of these Clan Dungeon teams for you, and then we'll hop back in. All right, so we're back here. Let me turn the music back on for you. Changed up the PvP squad a little bit, and so far in testing have gone completely undefeated every time. Absolute crazy. I changed the runes up on Gurner just a little bit. I dropped those counterattack runes just because those are really good on like a tank, and I'm not going to put him up front. He's a DPS, so I dropped those, put on some crit rate percentage runes, and yeah, he's just devastating. Look at that. Another round complete, undefeated. Yeah, this is doing very nicely. So should be going up in rank a lot faster now. I see you're kind of still in the 200s. With this team, honestly, if you just get your battles in every day, even just autoing, like I just autoed all those and I won every single one of them. You just auto with this team, you can be in top 100 easy, no problem. Yeah, I don't see that being an issue at all anymore with that team. Very, very cool team. Honestly, the only change I could see making is dropping the Verna for the Osti, But until Asti is mastery level 10, don't worry about it. Keep running the Verna for now. Like I said, though, the Verna and the Lightning God Dragon, they kind of conflict a little bit on their play styles, just because they both like to put up barriers. But other than that, this team is killer. I'm loving the Dark Pony too. I keep seeing it do its work, and very, very cool. Moving out of PvP now. Kind of looked at your dragons a little bit more. We got some powered up, which will be good. Let me turn down the music on my end a little bit. And so we started powering up some stuff. This week is the Light Clan Dungeon. So I started powering up this Dark Hedgebat for you. I threw on some pretty good rune sets. Eventually, once you get Mastery 10 on him, I would do the Crit Rate Mastery choice. And then you can drop these red runes, go all pink with crit damage. And just make sure your crit rate sitting about right here. You could maybe do a little bit less. Make sure that the bottom team is the one they're manualing, though. And I'll get into that, mainly because of Kathos. Kathos is going to get you even more percentage, like 15 to 20%, depending on how high your Kathos is, of more crit rate. So makes him, you don't have to worry about so much on the crit rate because of that. So got him to 50. Next up is that Fire Gaudium I told you about. Fire Gaudium is literally used on 4 of the 5 teams for Clan Dungeon. You could technically even run him on all 5. I ran him on all 5 for a long time. On top lane, need to get another meditation rune, and then another. I went with the crit rate just because he gets that that double mana regen when he hits a crit, so it works out pretty nicely when you can get that off. And then just get his runes finished out there, and then he will be good to go. Evolved them both up a little bit. Didn't touch the mellow really. I just evolved it was all. It's just that's a lot to invest in right now. When Earth Week comes back around, I think we just had it like a week, maybe 2 ago. So you got some time to get him up a little bit. Same thing, you're going to want meditation runes on him, just like with the Gaudium. And just you're going to go for like a DPS build with it. So attack percentage, crit rate, and attack percentage, and he'll be good to go. Great dragon for Earth, for the Earth team. Coming down here, I didn't touch the Dark Papamo. Like I said, you really need those masteries for this to make it really, really shine. But once you get Dark Papamo to 610, that will become your new PvP healer. So if you... Osti's pretty easy because Osti is the water type. Water type's easy to get mastery 10 on. This dark type is going to be a lot harder. So eventually you're going to want to go into Dark Papamo. So looking here, I've got these dragons all set up for you. I'll try to level them up a little bit more, maybe get some evolves in there if I can. But this is going to be, a lot of it is your Clan Dungeon dragons. And I got them up to 5 stars for you. I'll try to see if I can max some of them out if possible. Also, these volts are super important. I'll add in a clip right here on top of my voice of whenever I use them in Ancient Tower. My Ancient Tower guide on how I speed clear it. Check that out. But you can see in the video clip here the volts that I've got, and they just decimate. They clear the whole match by themselves super fast. I like to combo them with the Mud Dragons, but you don't have to do the Mud Dragons. You could do all volts if you wanted, but these are the 2 that I had the most luck with, was the Earth and Water. So went ahead and set you up with 2 of those. As well as we got some Mummygons and Hedgebats. Those will be very important. The Mystic Teeny here, this is going to be that one time you're going to swap the Fire Gaudium out. It's for this one right here. And that's only going to be on the week when you go against the Water Boss, just because the Fire Gaudium isn't quite as good at that point. So that's really the only changes I made to your box, just setting these up to get you ready to use them. The builds are super easy. You're going to go basically pink runes on most of these. These are all DPS dragons. So what I like to do is go all pink, and then attack percentage, crit rate, attack percentage, and your dragons are good to go. All right, so next we're going to jump over and I'll actually show you what's going on in the Clan Dungeon. I see you're 5th already in your clan, which is pretty cool. You're in the sister clan to mine, and So this is like the step below to get into my clan is you do well in here, then you get in the next one. A couple of your people are just carrying y'all though, like just absolutely carrying y'all. So the rest of y'all kind of are really, no offense, I mean, you know, slacking off. Maybe not slacking off, but not doing as well. So when I'd go into practice battle here, because then you can come in here and you can set up all your different teams for all your different elements. I went ahead and did that here. We'll jump into the water one first. So went ahead and put in that Mystic Teeny for you there. I did change up your placements on dragons. You had Gurner on bottom lane. Gurner is 100% of the time going to be on top lane. It only attacks one target, and the top lane only has one target. So that's where this guy really, really is going to shine. I made him the leader just because you didn't really have another option. I have Urian on top lane, or I did. If you have two Urians, that's the best. One on top, one on bottom lane. And really good because it has a nice leadership that's a nice blanket, works on everything. Which, honestly, you could do that. We could pull the Urian off of here. But you really need the Urian for that, the cooldown timers. And I'll talk about that. I went ahead and put in the Earth Iris for now. You're going to want to put in your Earth Mummigon that I've got set up for you right here whenever you get this one powered up, because this guy, he does 3 times damage on this single target nuke. Okay, this thing hits, it's 2 million damage on when it hits, so times 3 is huge. Lots and lots and lots of damage, but it only applies to the water, so you got to use the Mummigons on the right weeks. So you'll eventually want to drop her out and put in that Earth Mummigon. Earth Mummigon, he's just a 4-star dragon. He's really easy to enhance and mastery. You just kind of ran into the issue where you didn't have a lot of gold to work with, so I couldn't do those things. And the experience is still working on that experience farm for you. Bottom lane here, I have Fire Varus on pretty much all of your teams except for, well, eventually you'll replace him with the Mellow. But his leadership is increased allies attack by 48% when fighting a boss. And that bottom lane, all those little dragon heads, all those count as bosses. So this buff applies to your whole team when on bottom lane. So he also has a nice heal effect, that orb that bounces around. In the lower stages for my Fire Varus, he's my leader in my clan dungeon, and he keeps the whole team alive, and the healer almost never has to do anything. For like the first 20 or 30 levels, my healer never even touches the heal skill, just because Fire Varus keeps the whole team alive. We've got the Urian here. Water Urian is so good. This is what I use in most of my teams for bottom lane, particularly because of this drag skill cooldown reduction. So any of your 2 mana cost dragons, for their drag skill, they get their timer reduced. So that's really good, and that's pretty much the whole fight. Also gives you 2 mana. Very, very good. With that, especially with that meditation set. So what I do is I manual the bottom lane, and I just go back and forth on these 2 dragons here. The only skills I activate the whole match is these 2 right here. Every once in a while, I'll have enough mana to maybe pop off a Fire Varus, or I'll activate Urian's skill, because when Urian uses his drag skill, he gives an attack buff to the back 3. So then you get a nice attack buff on these, and they're doing more damage on these 2. And you just keep going back and forth on these 2, and you have enough mana that you just can do it repeatedly over and over and over and over. Very nice stuff. The only change that you eventually can make is the Mellow dragon right here. Earth Mellow, the leadership will replace your Fire Varus. It does basically the same thing. It's just 5% less of an attack buff, which isn't huge. However, this part right here is crazy. So his drag skill is basically the same thing as Dark Bane. When you attack 6 or more targets, you get to increase your damage. You do double damage when you do hit all 6 enemies, which there's 7 enemies, so you should be able to trigger that all the time. But this part right here is crucial. This is what makes Mellow Dragon so amazing. You want every single element of Mellow Dragon in this entire game. For every single week of Clan Dungeon, you want a Mellow Dragon as your leader, because after using your drag skill, decrease whatever element it is, depending on the element you're using, drag skill mana cost by 1 for 10 seconds. So you use his drag skill, it makes all your other Earth allies, their mana cost 1. So Absolutely amazing. If you can combine it with an all-earth team, like an Earth Urian, and get an Earth Healer in there, all your mana skills become 1 mana cost. Absolutely phenomenal. So great combo there. But yeah, like I said, you're just going to alternate back and forth on these two. Get your hedge bat up, okay? That's going to be like your main goal is to just level up your hedge bats and your Mummigons first thing. At least get them to level 50, okay? And then enhance them up. Make sure they're adult dragons. Get their skill ups, that sort of thing. I'm doing the best I can in the afternoon that I have the account. So I can't boost up 15 dragons, unfortunately, to max potential. But that's the basic layout there. And this same rule basically applies everywhere. We got the Mummigon here, like you're supposed to have. We've got the Fire Gaudium there. Again, I went with the Verna on the top lane. Top lane's more important to survive. If your top lane starts wiping, drop a DPS, any of your DPS, for like a second healer or another tank or something like that. Bottom lane, again, we got the hedge bat. Unfortunately, have to run the Earth Darkbane. You only have the one big AoE attacker. You want either Darkbane, Mini Dragon, or Poseidon. Any combination, any of those three there, any combination with that and a hedge bat, and you're good to go. So get one of each of either of any of those. Right, you've got the Earth one covered, so you don't need to worry about any others. So make sure you get one for every single element, and then you're going to combine those with a hedge bat, and you're just going to go back and forth on these. Need to change this leadership. That's going to be Fire Varus, so you get that nice huge buff here. Eventually, when you get a Mellow Dragon for the correct element, like for here we need the Watermellow. If you ever get the Watermellow, drop Fire Varus and add in the Watermellow. All right. Same thing. We're gonna just kind of quickly go through here. Same basic setup. You see it? I mean, we're running the same setup every week for you here. Very simple. Light gets a little more complicated because there's not hardly any good light single target attackers. Since there's no Mummigon, the option is to go with the 3-star dragon, the Light Spiral. He's like the toy T-Rex looking guy. That's what you're going to want to run for your DPS here. Although we can drop the Earth one, and then we'll add in the Water. So I've got Verna as your main DPS, and he gives that 40% attack speed increase. So in combination with the Water Iris scales off of attack speed, so you're doing more damage there. Same concept with your PvP team. I have Gurner as your leader, and then the Iris that I chose, the reason I chose the Water Iris in your PvP team is because it gets that nice buff that Gurner gives it. So that's why I chose the Water Iris, in case you were curious. Again, boom, bottom lane, same setup. Again, the only thing you really need to change out on this team is these two dragons. If you get the Mellow Dragon, drop him. If you get any of those three that I mentioned, the Darkbane, the Mini, or the Poseidon, as long as it's the Dark type, you can put it in here. Just make sure you're always picking the right elements. Again, see, I did this one correctly there. Bottom lane. Bottom lane's frustrating because there's not a whole lot of good DPS options that you can choose from that are light types. I just put in these two. They still do good damage. They just don't get the element bonus is all. But they're still solid choices here. Eventually you'll get the light Mini Dragon and start improving from there. And that's your clan dungeon. So your clan dungeon, you've got the pieces to do it. The pieces are there. You just got to level them up. All right? They are ready to rock and roll and do good damage. Covered the PvP already. Adventure, I've just been in here. I'm in Hell Stage, Boss 2-7, and I've just been farming this. I mean, the team is simple here. Again, need to change that to Gurner. I mean, this is literally the same as your PvP team. And just repeat battle. I auto-sell runes that are 5-star or less. The only runes you're going to want are 6 stars anyways. And I just auto-sell those and then repeat the battle. I just walk away from my computer, or at night when I go to bed on my phone, I turn this on auto-battle on my phone, and I just let it go. and it plays all night long by itself. So if you can do that, I mean, of course my phone is plugged in charging, so that's the only way I can do it. But yeah, so definitely check that out. Make sure you do that. That's going to help you immensely. Also, it looks like you're not doing your ancient tower. This is big. There's huge rewards in here. You know, diamonds are always nice. I don't think you're too worried about that. Judging by all those topaz dragons, but skill ups are huge. Free skill ups are always important. Make sure you come in here and do this. Not only that, but if you rank high enough, you get these ancient wings, which are super important for the store. I go in there and I buy eggs, like the dark eggs and things like that. Dark and light eggs is what I'm always buying with my ancient wings. So come in here and definitely do this. This is super easy to do. You know, we'll change this up. You're going to want to do this as fast as possible. And that's the trick, is to do as much damage as possible. You have enough dragons here that you can run all DPS. All DPS all the way up to level 40. I think you have the damage that you don't need to worry about a tank. You don't need to worry about a healer or anything like that. We'll go with Water Urian, just because it has the best buff right there. And then you're going to want to run those volts that I prepped for you. So the water volt, and then the earth one. Where is he? Right there. Go ahead and swap those guys in, and power these guys up. They just auto the whole thing. Their AOE drag, or not even their drag skill, just their passive skill, right, is a huge AOE. Attacks 7 targets. And it happens as soon as the fight starts. This goes off and wipes out the whole team, and it just goes right next to the stage 2. It makes, honestly, it makes this whole ancient tower, because I don't like doing ancient tower. It's kind of annoying, because I would just like want to rush through the whole thing in one go. But since I can only do 10 levels at a time, I can't do that, and it annoys me. And but having the volts and the mud dragons just auto it for me, and I don't even have to press any buttons. If I ever when I get to the final stage, I like to, I use a drag skill. Like, you can use your Verna here. Your Verna will do crazy damage to that final boss. Honestly, I'm jealous that you have the Verna, because that would be perfect for my team. Verna is like the end-all, be-all for this, okay? And yeah, so it's not going to do, I don't have anything on these guys, but you can at least see how they operate here. And we'll go into here. You're at a low stage at least. And as soon as battle starts, boom, they shoot out all these darts. Look at that. Not even powered up. They were killing guys without even the others using their skills. So very, very nice. Probably shouldn't have auto on. That's kind of a waste. And then you're going to get to that next stage, and then you're going to use that Verna. And then Verna's just going to nuke that boss and one-shot him. And you can do that the whole way up. The only time I might not use Verna is when you had to fight 4 bosses at once. I would use something like, a Fire Varus or one of your other big AoE attackers. And look at that. We almost matched your best record with 2 vanillas, like, untouched. Yeah, they're level 5 stars now, but they're level 1. They have no runes on them or anything like that. Yeah, so not hardly any work, and this team is going to be killer. All right, absolutely killer. And then finally, just kind of looking at your box one more time, you have some outstanding dragons. I'm jealous of you don't have much, right? I've been playing this game for almost 3 years now. You've been playing it for 1 year, and you have dragons that I can only dream about having. You have dragons that I'll never own because I don't have that kind of money to drop on this game. Stuff like Gurner. I would love to have a Gurner. Gurner would just like change like how I do things completely, and I'll never get it. Dark Pony, it could happen, but I'm not holding my breath. You had the luck, you got it. Use this dragon. I've got it on several of your teams in several places of the game now, and yeah, it's just phenomenal dragon. Very jealous. You have light Xenos, and what's crazy is you have dragons that are better than that, and that just blows my mind. All 3 irises. Who does that? Who has that kind of luck? And just look at this. Almost all of the dragons in your top here are all topaz or limited dragons, your best dragons, and that's the way it should be. If you're gonna spend that kind of money, the best dragon should be topaz dragons, and I wholeheartedly agree that Yeah, there's a little bit of pay to win, but it's pretty great. They're super powerful. Uh, you might want to go back and look at some of your rune setups. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning. You just have some odd choices in some things that I don't necessarily agree with, but counterattack works at least for this dragon, but on Gurner, not at all. I think the new setup on Gurner, like I said, you're going undefeated in PvP now with the new rune setup and just the new build. Other dragons like Urian, I keep praising Urian because it's so good. You definitely need to get a second one for that top lane of Clan Dungeon, so one Urian on each team, and that'll be super good. Make it your leadership because of that nice buff. Very good stuff here. You're definitely on that path now. Clan Dungeon was definitely your weakest point, and I think once you get these dragons powered up that I've placed for you now, they're all ready to go. You know, I've done a little bit of work, got them up to 5 stars for you. They just got to get to I would get them all to level 50 first, and then, you know, enhance them and evolve them so that way they're adult stages. And yeah, you're looking for a really good time. I think you'll be really happy with the amount of damage that you're going to start doing with stuff like Hedgebat and stuff like Mummygon, because it's just night and day the difference on how much damage these guys can do compared to other stuff. I know you have Iris, who is a great single target attacker, but against a boss, nothing compares to dragons that get massive multipliers like this. Okay, they don't do it. So power those guys up, and I think your account's gonna be super happy. If you continue to support and become another for next month as well, and you want me to come back in here a second time next month, I will happily do it, and we'll just take this and go even further next month with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. If you enjoy this type of content, I try to put it out as much as possible, so definitely subscribe. Also, if you really enjoyed the content, check out my Patreon. I have a link in the description below for it. You can get access to my Discord server, as well as if you're a Dragon Village M fan, account takeovers where I help you out with your account. If you're a Digimon fan, I've got monthly giveaway. Well, not even giveaways. I've got monthly merch that's specific to Patreon. Stuff like memory counters, custom made. This is the baby form of Vmon here. There's gonna be more in the works also, so lots of memory counters, all kinds of awesome Digimon merch. So definitely check out that tier, and if you're just all out crazy, there's other tiers if you're that dedicated. As well as check out my Teespring. I've got awesome merch there, you know, official Battle Ready Ink merch. Awesome phone cases for you Digimon fans out there. They've got them for iPhones as well as Samsungs, so they are super sweet. If you've seen the last Digimon movie, that's where these are from. I had a friend of mine custom make these so that way they fit perfectly on these phone cases. They look super good, so definitely check those out. But at the end of the day, if you can't do any of that, just like I said, like the video. That helps a ton, and subscribe. It doesn't hurt, but it helps me. So that's what's the real benefit. And as always, I'll see you next time.